Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The subtitle of this video is somewhat inflammatory, so in order to provide an explanation forthwith, I shall make this video short. It might seem quite absurd to say that YouTube critics and their fans do not want good entertainment. After all, they complain about bad and woke media, and their complaints are always about the quality and how the original media, because these new media are often not original, were superior. And the reason it seems absurd is because it is absurd to say such a thing. YouTube critics and the nerd quote-unquote fandoms around them want good entertainment, and that is something no reasonable person should ever deny. What I am saying instead is that these individuals are not seeking good entertainment. As well, I should clarify that although I have used the term fans of Critic YouTube, I have in mind the critics and subscribers who are either part of, or circle around, the fandom manosphere. What do I mean by this? Well, let's look at a recent event. A new He-Man series was released on Netflix relatively recently, Masters of the Universe, Revelation. Now, I have not seen the series. I am, however, aware of Teela's character design, and of Kevin Smith's numerous lies about the show. I know why He-Man and She-Ra fans are upset about the series. If I were a He-Man/She-Ra fan, I wouldn't appreciate any of these creative decisions either. But here's the question. Who honestly believed the show wouldn't be bad? Who actually thought it would be good? I remember watching the trailer for Masters of the Universe Revelation and thinking, this looks good, but I know it won't be good. And I know I cannot have been the only one. Let us jump to my main thesis. Many YouTube critics and many of their subscribers are not trying to find stories which would entertain them. They are instead waiting for the mega corporations which are woke to the core and which own the intellectual properties of their favourite franchises to grace them with new stories within these franchises which are not woke and are not poorly written. This is ill-advised because of what we know already. Media corporations have woke agendas, and in spite of internet outrage, criticism, and even some monetary loss, they haven't changed. Since they have never changed course before, for what reason should we expect them to change right now? Not only is this waiting unlikely to be fruitful, but it is also symptomatic of a widespread problem, namely the inability to move on. Everything has a beginning and an end. Star Wars started with the original films and ended with the prequels. The sequels aren't even canon because George Lucas did not write or direct them. As well, the expanded universe was always official fanfiction and was never canon. Now, there isn't anything wrong with fanfiction so long as it is entertaining and keeps within the general zeitgeist and lore of the original work. But being someone who reads/watches/listens to a work of fiction and then spends all his time reading fan fiction, official or unofficial, of that original work is sad. At some point it is acceptable and even desirable to say, this story was great, but it is over now. It is time I search for new stories. For a real life example, I had to do this with Avatar: The Last Airbender, the animated series. I enjoyed that story immensely, but I did not enjoy The Legend of Korra for a multitude of reasons. If you want a decent critique of that series, you can check out E:'R's video series. After watching The Legend of Korra, I realised that there would be no good Avatar media ever again, and that I should have been content with Avatar: The Last Airbender. The story was excellent, and it had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and I needed to accept that it had, in fact, ended. I also had to do this with Mass Effect, even though Mass Effect's ending was, well, awful, and I wanted another installment in the franchise to fix it. Fortunately, I moved on before I ever played Mass Effect Andromeda, and you can watch my video on Mass Effect Andromeda using the hyperlink below. For those who are wondering, I am probably not going to buy the recently announced Mass Effect 4 unless a similar set of circumstances and conditions which caused me to buy Mass Effect Andromeda are met. If you are wondering what set of circumstances and conditions I am talking about, you can watch the first few minutes of my video on Mass Effect Andromeda. Now, this doesn't mean it is acceptable or desirable to forget the stories you enjoyed. I have not forgotten Avatar: The Last Airbender, or the Mass Effect trilogy. This only means you shouldn't cling on to those works and expect more than they can give. If you are expecting Star Wars, Star Trek, Harry Potter, etc. to continue on indefinitely, and you are expecting to be entertained and enchanted by sequel after sequel, or spin-off after spin-off, then you are asking for more than what is reasonable. Nothing continues forever. All things end, even if you wish that they would continue forever. The inability to move on is very real among many fans and critics. The Last Jedi came out 4 years ago, and people on YouTube, Twitter, etc. are still complaining about how bad it was. This is unhealthy. It is time to accept the fact that the film was bad and move on. People who defend The Last Jedi are sad, but fans who are still angered by the film are even more wretched. For some people, nostalgia is the issue, but I think for many others, the issue is conditioning. And by this, I mean the social conditioning of the masses to approach entertainment in a very specific and particular manner. For decades, people have been spoon-fed, branded, franchise entertainment media from megacorporations and conglomerates. In the near past, and today even, people would happily wait for advertisements to tell them what and when the latest film / book / game would be, and then they would follow those advertisements to the companies and the advertised medium. Everyone was happy with this arrangement when the megacorporations provided mass entertainment which was fun and good. Now today, of course, a lot of mass entertainment media are neither fun nor good, yet consumers still haven't changed their habits. Still they wait for a work within an established intellectual property or brand to be announced, and then hope that it will be fun and good. Still they wait for a mega conglomerate to advertise and tell them that this is the next big thing, the next cultural sensation, the next new phenomenon, which will rival Star Wars, Harry Potter, or even just the Hunger Games. Of course, the artwork, which is always touted as being the next big thing, always turns out to be another reboot, spin-off, sequel, etc., rather than an original work, which means that it doesn't have the necessary ingredient to be the next phenomenon. This is why so many were hoping against hope that the new Masters of the Universe series wouldn't be bad, because, like birds who refuse to leave the nest, they have settled into a complacent mode where, instead of hunting for themselves, they ask others to feed them. This is also why so many get upset when the provided fiction isn't any good, because they feel that a covert agreement has been broken, a pact where consumers would wait for fun entertainment to be provided by megacorporations, and, in exchange, said corporations would receive their money. The problem is, the entertainment is no longer good, so consumers now feel cheated. Because of the subpar quality of recent releases, this approach to media and this entire mindset need to be rejected. It is time for all birds to leave the nest, and seek out stories which don't come from the entertainment mega-conglomerates. To do this, 2 courses of action need to be taken simultaneously. Number 1. People need to create their own original art and fiction, and then distribute them. Not everyone can do this, and everyone who can is already doing so by now, so we can move on to the second item, as no further elaboration is needed. Number 2. People who cannot create their own original art and fiction need to seek out the original work of new creators. It is all well and good to call on independent creators to put their work out there, but nothing will come of it unless people are willing to give new original stories a try. No one should expect the cream to rise to the top by itself, or for the best original fiction to be brought into the public consciousness by some mega conglomerate. If you want to enjoy the best original fiction out there, you must take the initiative and search for it yourself. What if Star Wars fans, rather than hoping that Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau save Star Wars and that Kathleen Kennedy gets fired one day, had decided not to buy subscriptions to Disney+, and had instead opted for searching for ebooks in the space opera genre which they might enjoy? What if instead of getting angry over the latest He-Man show, He-Man fans look for entertainment from independent authors and creators who have been inspired both by He-Man and Robert E. Howard? What if YouTube critics, rather than making hate videos, made reviews looking at the work of independent creators, or actively searched for fiction that their subscribers might enjoy? If people did this, everyone would be much happier, except, of course, the progressives in these mega conglomerates who are pumping out the woke rubbish which passes for entertainment these days. Taking the second course of action will hurt the mega corporations, but not because they'll go broke. Who can name a single company which has gone woke and then actually gone broke? But because silence and non-engagement hurt all creators. If you asked an artist whether they would prefer to have masses of haters and critics or be completely unknown, most would pick the former, because if you have haters, people are, at the least, engaging with your work. Rian Johnson, if he is aware of them, probably thinks very little of my videos critiquing his Star Wars film. But, assuming he knows of my videos, part of him probably feels some pride knowing that his work annoyed a penguin so much that he made a video criticising it, which then went on to receive 1 million views. Meanwhile, a lot of independent authors on Kindle jump with joy upon seeing a second positive review on one of their books. To engage with the media of these woke progressives, even for the purposes of criticism, actually fuels and motivates them. Understand this, they aren't interested in the money, or at the least, not primarily. They are in this business for their ideology, and whenever they see opponents of their media, they feel vindicated in their crusade. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to move on. We must move beyond our nostalgia, beyond our social conditioning, beyond megacorporations and conglomerates, beyond foolish hopes, and step into a future where our optimism can be both sensible and healthy. Move on from the past. A creative future awaits for those with the courage to move on. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have an excellent day. I think there is another problem which discourages some fans from moving on. Some people are willing to watch bad media because they want to have a shared cultural experience with friends, fans, and other people in society. For instance, all my friends and I, one way or another, watched the Star Wars sequels. We didn't like the films, but after watching them, we had a shared cultural experience among not only ourselves, but also among the rest of the general populace in Great Britain and the wider Western world who had also seen the film. My friends and I enjoyed discussing how bad The Last Jedi was in particular, and arguing with people who thought it was good. The Star Wars sequels might have been bad, but we got something out of them. On the other hand, I have read some ebooks by independent authors which were better than the Star Wars sequels, but I cannot talk about them with anyone because they are quite obscure. The ebooks I have read were not, and probably will never be, widely read by people in society, and thus will never form the basis of a shared cultural experience. The second course of action I have outlined in the main section of this video essay does have a unique challenge. If individuals are going to take this course of action earnestly, ways and means of promoting good original media will have to be discovered, adopted, and perfected, so a larger shared experience can be created in order to make fun and interesting discussions about said media a possibility. For some individuals, this is a tough sell, because part of the reason they engage with certain media is for the social function that comes along with it, the easily shared cultural and social experience which allows them to become part of something larger. Thus, this is another roadblock which must be overcome to move on.